So let's go through some low value texting mistakes that you might be making, you might not be making, but there's a possibility that you might be making these mistakes and they're ruining your conversation via text through a girl that you're trying to get to know. But before we get into that, we need to try to figure out what is low value in the first place. And my definition of low value is a man who feels insecure but sees his and through his insecurity he sees problems that he has with himself as something that he cannot fix. So for instance, guys that talk about being bored and complains about being bored in a negative way and doesn't see the positive that, oh, maybe he can just shave his head and maybe look more handsome by changing that. A guy that focuses on so for instance me, I've had a guy made a video on me recently where he said, look, this one man's life mission guy, he continues to call himself grandpa. So he said, what I do is I call myself grandpa, saying that I'm old and I'm too old for girls and things like that. But I don't see it in a negative way, something that I can't change. I see that as a positive thing, where someone in my situation who's a grandpa is still able to get young attractive girls. So it's a positive way. So insecurity and seeing the negatives without seeing any of the positives. Another one is low EI. So for instance, just not socially aware, no self-awareness, no awareness of where this social interaction is going, not having empathy for other people or understanding as to how other people are perceiving you. This is a huge problem. I hear about a lot of guys in the community, they refer to autism. They just say, oh, he's autistic. And I guess that is just a throwaway line, but yeah, some guys to some extent seem that way. I wouldn't necessarily call it autism, but I don't really understand psychology. I'm obviously don't have a medical degree. I'm not a psychologist, but someone who's a little bit autistic doesn't have that self-awareness, isn't able to connect with people, things like that. Being a pushover, this is another one. If you are the type of guy who says, I like something, and then the girl instantly says, well, that's not a very good thing. So I like avocado as an example, and the girl says, well, avocado, it's full of calories and it's bad for you, it's expensive and it's bad for... She made up some reason why you shouldn't like avocado, and then the low value male just instantly goes, oh, okay, well, yeah, I probably shouldn't have avocado then. A pushover, someone that doesn't stick to their own opinions, doesn't believe in their own opinions, doesn't stand by what they say. And sometimes a pushover can be pushed around and avoids aggressive situations, so isn't willing to stand up for themselves. And because they're not willing to confront, and really it's not really that dangerous to confront someone over something in any way, shape or form throughout life, someone who's a pushover can also become passive aggressive, and that can also come through your text. Neediness is pretty obvious. Texting too much, and I think this is the most obvious one that all men know. Every man that I speak to about text, I ask them, what do you think is one of the worst things you can do via text? They all know this one thing: don't text too much. Don't continue texting. Just don't text many times. I think this is something that everybody knows, but sometimes a lot of guys, they just wonder, why isn't she replying? And then they want to throw in that extra little one, that extra little text. When you start doing that, it also shows something which I think is very important, and also another sign of a low value state, a low status, low value man, is impulsivity. If you're impulsive, so for instance, someone of high value delays gratification. They are willing to wait for it, and I'll put up here a link to, in the cards, to a video where I show extreme delaying of gratification to get this one girl, because she and I showed through text how I was able to eventually win. And it took a very long time. Sometimes she wouldn't reply for 2 weeks. But an indicator of a high value man is someone who is able to delay gratification. And if you cannot wait 24 hours or even a week for her to reply, that shows impulsivity. That means you can't control yourself. That means you cannot delay gratification. Therefore, you're not a high value man. Friends, this also feeds into it as well. Do you have friends to hang out with? I know this seems like a lot of people might be working long hours. They might only have time for maybe one friend. But if you're really busy with work and things like that, you're not going to come across too needy, obviously, through text as well. But having friends, having social engagements, having people to hang out with on a regular basis, if she sees that you are a lone wolf all the time, then you will be perceived as a low value man. So if somehow through text she's able to see or able to get the feeling that you don't have any friends, you don't have any social engagements, you don't have anything going on with any friends, that's also a sign of low value. The final one I think is very important that you should not be putting. I know I'm only trying to give you 3 examples, but I want to define what a low value or low status male is. And then what you do is you take these definitions and you try to avoid showing that via text. Because text is very complicated, and so I think we need to define what a low value man is, and then you can avoid projecting that through low value text. Another one which not too many people think about, they see it the opposite quite often, is a type of guy who is criticizing others. Now, women might pass that off once or twice. If it's a joke, fair enough. But a high status male does not walk around criticizing other people. A high status male does not look at the disabled person, the weak person, the ugly, unattractive, the short, the overweight. Does not go around pointing fingers and criticizing and judging others all the time. A high value person is spending their time reaching and pulling up the weak. That's what an alpha male does. A weak, low-value male walks around pointing fingers all the time and judging other people and not helping other people. And if you are criticizing people via text a lot, then you are projecting to her that you are a low-status male. So if you can take all of these definitions and avoid doing that via text. So for instance, one example obviously is we'll go with the first one. If she texts you straight up and you reply to her within, say, 30 seconds or 1 minute or 20 minutes instantly like that every single time, even if she has, it's been 2 days before she's replied to you, then you are showing, okay, impulsivity, you are showing that you are not busy, you don't have much on, you were just sitting by the phone waiting for her to text, you don't have other high value things to be doing. So obviously a lot of people are aware of this. So texting too much and then texting large paragraphs and explaining in a real logical fashion things that can be explained in short form. So if you're sending a formal letter, hi, blah, 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 cheers, at the end, signed, Dave, then it's far too formal, far too big, far too, it just seems a little bit too needy, a little bit too impulsive. And so the general rule for me, I'm just going to give you a general rule, which is you should reply within around an hour mark. That's just a basic rule. Or what you do is if you finish work at 5 o'clock, even if she messages you at lunchtime, you reply at 5 o'clock. And you have a structured time when you reply via text. She knows you finish work at 5 o'clock, so therefore she expects a text around 5 o'clock. Won't be annoyed that you waited 4 hours to reply if she knows that you finished work at 5 o'clock. And you can also put that into the text. So not replying so fast, and replying that day when you finish work. If it's Monday to Friday, obviously. If it's on the weekend, you're going to have to come up with another way to figure that one out. The second one is obviously not replying fast enough. Now, recently I heard something which was hilarious. I was speaking to a guy, and he didn't reply to a girl within 5 days. So she expected him to reply. He was a little bit slow, and then something happened where she gave him a wide berth. She didn't reply for a longer period of time, and he decided to match that with her and then wait again. Then they started drifting further and further apart. So your goal really, so what he was projecting there to some extent was also a form of insecurity by not texting rapidly enough, because he was obviously feeling like girls are very socially aware. So if you're waiting like 5 days to reply or something along those lines, and you wonder why it's not going anywhere, because you're either showing so much disinterest because of a form of insecurity, and you're so worried, it's almost like you're self-sabotaging because you're afraid of winning, or you're afraid of putting yourself out there and being hurt. And that's what a lot of men do. They have this it's a low value trait that some men have, where they try to they self-sabotage to some extent and not reply to a girl for a long period of time, because what they're worried about is if they put themselves out on the line and they get rejected, that's going to hurt more than actually rejecting themselves. And that is also a form of low value male. Also another one, probably we'll just stick to the third one now, because that's the title of the video. Obviously, I think any sort of criticism, any sort of self-deprecation, any sort of insecurity, and being a pushover via text, you should definitely avoid. You should not be criticizing people, thinking that that's a good conversation opener. You should not be, if she criticizes you, just ignore it. If she criticizes you in any way, shape or form, don't defend yourself. Don't justify your position and who you are. You don't need to do any of those things. I think try not to be a pushover, and try not to criticize other people, and try not to show any sort of insecurity via text. If you can avoid these kind of 3 rules, and your understanding of what a low value male is, a low status, low value male is, and then try not to project that via your text, then pretty much I can pretty much just say don't fuck it up. Because a lot of this, it should be common sense to most guys, and it's pretty much just don't fuck it up. So if you like this video, make sure you click the subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any future videos that I'll be bringing out on dating and relationship, a little bit of pickup, etc. My book is in the description if you want to buy my book. And I have a form in the description where you can sign up to coaching with me. I'll see you in the next video.